The Central Intelligence Agency loves to wrap itself in the stars and stripes, defender of democracy, protector of freedom. But scratch the surface, and you'll find something far older and far less noble. The CIA didn't invent its dirty tricks. It inherited them, straight from the crumbling empires of Britain and France. Welcome to the Stateless Standard, where we expose how the powerful recycle their tools of domination. Today, drawing from Hugh Wilford's The CIA and Imperial History, we trace the colonial precedents that shaped America's premier instrument of covert control. Because empires don't die, they just change accents. American boosters love to trace the CIA back to Revolutionary War spies who outfoxed the Redcoats, conveniently forgotten, the scouts who helped conquer Indian country, paving the way for continental expansion. The real founding father of modern U.S. intelligence? Wild Bill Donovan, head of the OSS, the CIA's wartime predecessor. Donovan cut his teeth chasing Pancho Villa in 1916, helping crush a Mexican who dared resist Yankee economic exploitation. But the deeper roots run across the Atlantic. The CIA's early leadership came from elite New England prep schools, steeped in muscular Christianity and the romance of imperial service. These were boys who devoured Rudyard Kipling's Kim, the original spy thriller, where a plucky Anglo-Indian orphan thwarts Russian plots to save the Raj. Kipling, architect of the white man's burden, provided the blueprint. Civilized Westerners guiding or manipulating exotic natives for their own good. CIA legends openly admitted it. Vietnam operative Rufus Phillips dreamed of faraway mysterious places thanks to Kipling. Anthony Poshepny, prototype for Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now, called Kim an agency training manual. Even Allen Dulles kept a copy by his bedside until his dying day. And who could forget T.E. Lawrence? Lawrence of Arabia. Dulles knew him personally from the Paris Peace Conference. Future CIA Director William Colby fantasized about becoming Colby of a French department after reading 7 Pillars of Wisdom. Dewey Claridge, architect of 1980s Central American mayhem, called Lawrence his hero. Cynical, isn't it? The men who built the CIA weren't dreaming of liberty. They were LARPing as colonial adventurers, lusting after exotic conquests, both territorial and otherwise. World War II sealed the inheritance. Joint operations like the Jedburgh teams, brave commandos dropping behind Nazi lines, bred a cozy Anglo-American bond. The British taught the OSS everything: espionage, covert action, counterintelligence, even how to write reports. Post-war, CIA officers styled themselves anti-imperialists, championing nationalists free from European colonialism or Soviet imperialism. Noble on paper. The paradox? U.S. policy chased the same prizes: resources, bases, markets. Only the Americans preferred indirect rule, puppets over provinces. That meant more coups, more skullduggery than the old empires ever needed. In the field, green Americans often leaned on battle-hardened European colleagues for local knowledge. Graham Greene captured the resentment perfectly in The Quiet American. Naive Yanks barging in to save the natives, blind to the mess they'd leave. And how did CIA men live abroad? Like colonials, of course. Exclusive clubs from the Raj era, polo matches, dalliances with local women, echoes of the white man's playground, all while preaching democracy. The cynicism writes itself. Nowhere is this imperial inheritance clearer or more profitable for the powerful than Operation Ajax, the CIA's 1953 coup in Iran. A masterclass in statist-class warfare disguised as Cold War necessity. Prime Minister Mohammad Mosaddegh, a democratically elected nationalist, had committed the cardinal sin against the ruling class. In 1951, he nationalized the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, today's BP, ending decades of Britain extracting Persia's wealth while paying the Iranian people crumbs. To the statists in London and Washington, this wasn't sovereignty or justice. It was an attack on their corporate cronies' monopolies. Enter Kermit Roosevelt Jr., grandson of Teddy Roosevelt, steeped in Anglophile arrogance and fresh from MI6 collaboration. Arriving in Tehran with suitcases stuffed with over $1 million in cash, tens of millions in today's money, Roosevelt orchestrated the takedown like a page from Kipling's adventure tales. The Playbook: bribe army generals, conservative clerics, including figures who'd later turn against the West, newspaper editors, and bizarre thugs to manufacture consent, or at least chaos, stage fake communist rallies to terrify the public into fearing a Soviet takeover. hijack radio broadcasts to slander Mosaddegh as a madman or secret red, pay thousands to riot as pro-Shah demonstrators while looting opposition offices. The first attempt in mid-August flopped spectacularly. The Shah, ever the coward, fled to Rome after signing dismissal decrees that loyalists ignored. Most in Washington and London urged abort. Roosevelt refused, wiring for more funds and methodically flipping key military units with targeted payoffs. $60,000 here, a promise of power there. On August 19th, the tide turned. Pro-Shah tanks rolled in. Mossaddegh's residence was shelled. Street battles left hundreds dead. General Fazlollah Zahedi, a former Nazi collaborator conveniently rehabilitated, was installed as the new strongman. Mosaddegh fled, was captured, tried in a kangaroo court, and spent the rest of his life in prison or under house arrest. The prize? Iran's oil fields carved up anew in a consortium giving Western firms, American and British, 50% control, fattening the coffers of Exxon, Shell, and BP. The Shah returned as a gilded puppet, his CIA and MI6-trained secret police torturing and disappearing dissidents for decades. One honest CIA station chief resigned in disgust, calling it outright support for Anglo-French colonialism. He was sidelined. The blowback? A quarter-century of brutal dictatorship that bred resentment, culminating in the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Proof, once again, that state intervention abroad only begets more intervention, more chaos, and more power for the ruling class at home and abroad. All because the powerful couldn't allow producers to keep what they produced. Ajax wasn't anti-communism. It was cartel enforcement, ensuring the stateless, the ordinary Iranians, remained under the boot of statist elites, foreign and domestic, and America, inheriting the British mantle, eagerly claimed the spoils. Turn to France's colonial playbook, especially Algeria's brutal War of Independence. The CIA studied it closely, adopting coercive interrogation, a polite term for torture, and repressive surveillance. Divide and conquer, recruiting tribal minorities as proxies. In Vietnam, Edward Lansdale, another legend, mirrored French tactics, arming Hmong and Montagnards against the Viet Minh, just as France had pitted ethnic groups against nationalists. Psychological warfare refined to an art, propaganda, deception, hearts and minds facades masking raw coercion. The Phoenix program? Straight out of French counterinsurgency manuals. Wilford notes the shared mindset. CIA officers driven by the same thrill of adventure, the same sense of superiority over natives. Cynical observation. When empires teach torture and tribal manipulation, the pupil often surpasses the master. America's indirect empire needed these tools more than the old direct rulers ever did. Because the US rules through proxies and deniability, the CIA's operations breed spectacular blowback, revolutions, terrorism, endless wars that the American public barely understands. Why? Secrecy. Classified files, no accountability. The domestic population pays the price, blood and treasure, while the architects retire to memoirs and boardrooms. Wilford's book strips away the heroic myth. The CIA isn't an American original. It's the heir to centuries of colonial domination, repackaged for a superpower that pretends it's not an empire. The methods, torture, manipulation, proxy wars, aren't innovations. They're hand-me-downs from London and Paris, polished for the age of democracy promotion. So here's the bitter truth. The powerful don't invent new ways to dominate. They inherit and refine the old ones. Britain and France built empires on divide and rule, psyops, and the romance of the white savior. America's CIA took the baton and ran farther, hiding behind national security, while delivering the same oppression. The lust for adventure, the exotic conquests, the contempt for the ruled. It's all there, from Kipling's pages to black sites. In a stateless world, no one would need these shadowy agencies. But as long as empires rise and fall, the tools endure, passed down like family heirlooms. The real question, how many more blowbacks before we reject the inheritance entirely? If this exposed some uncomfortable truths, subscribe for more illuminations of power's hidden continuities. Comment, which colonial precedent do you see most in today's CIA? Until next time, keep questioning the empire, old or new. This is the Stateless Standard, signing off.